yeah, we can talk about J.C. Jackson now, who I believe has 17 interceptions. I believe he's in the past 2 years. Last year with 8, I believe the year before with 9. Um, and I think he either leads the league or he's among the top 3, top 5 since in that time span. So that's also going to be big, creating pressure on the quarterback to be able to get J.C. Jackson those 5+ interceptions yet again. J.C. Jackson coming from the New England system, and I know a lot of people who do acquire, a lot of fans when they see their team acquire New England players, like, oh, he's just a Bill Belichick guy, where he excelled because of Bill Belichick and his crazy schemes and everything like that. I don't feel like J.C. Jackson is going to be that way. I think Brandon Staley, now that he has more to work with, is going to be able to actually provide a good defense the way he did with the Rams. I don't know if he provided that, but the way he had a good defense with the Rams, I'm hoping more of that will come to LA, to the other side of LA, the other team in LA. I guess I shouldn't say other side; they play in the same stadium. Other team in LA. So I'm hoping with these additions they'll finally be able to create more turnovers, because I don't know where they ranked in turnovers last year, but I know it wasn't. I don't think it was any higher than 20. So being able to get the ball back in Justin Herbert's hands is going to rely heavily on J.C. Jackson. So what do you think, J.C. Jackson?
Yeah, so I like that you bring up kind of like being like the main Belichick corner, because in 2020, yeah, 2020 was that first year where J.C. Jackson kind of came on the scene. Everyone was like, okay, this guy's a good player. Like, he's a real good corner. Now, for part of that season, he was playing with Stephon Gilmore, or part of the last couple two years he's been playing with Stephon Gilmore, but Gilmore's been banged up once in a while. So he's been the number 1 corner at times. At other times, he's been the number 2 corner. But he's a guy, like, he's been really good and just really underrated for a while. And then you started to see him become that true number 1, where it almost like for Belichick, like, he's scheming teams to throw to him. He wants them to throw to him. He wants them to run the weird coverages where he runs like half man, half zone coverages. Belichick's a genius. So it gets a lot easier, I guess, to capitalize on the mistakes that quarterbacks make against those defenses. But in terms of JC as the player, in terms of bringing him in, I think it's a great move. You also brought up, and I know we're not going to talk about him as in depth, but Bryce Callahan, another great corner there. So you go and you add 2 high caliber corners, but J.C. Jackson, the craziest thing to me is that he's only making $16.5 million
Yeah.
average per year. And when he was getting talked about, like, early free agency, like maybe like the couple days before it actually started, people were tossing out like, oh, he's going to get 20 to 25. And then all of a sudden he gets way less, which I thought was really interesting. But I like the move a lot. I was also looking into his contract a little bit before. It's only like truly a 3-year deal. So for a lot of corner contracts, like, it's like a little bit like running back, where like guys will just all of a sudden athleticism's gone and they're not great players anymore. If that does happen, the Chargers aren't going to be like screwed or anything like that. So they do have an out after his age 29 season. So that's good. But you're getting a legit cornerback 1 in his prime, and you're getting him at $16.5 million a year. This year, he's only has an $8 million cap hit. That's kind of ridiculous, honestly. But I love the addition to the Chargers defense. I'm assuming, is Asante Samuel going to play nickel, and then Bryce Callahan's going to play outside?
Seems like Asante Samuel's going to play outside. Bryce Callahan's going to kick into the slot. But let's say Michael Davis were to come on the field somehow. I mean, I truly don't think he's that good. He's pretty inconsistent. I think at times, like, yeah, he does look like a pretty damn good corner, but other times he's getting cooked. But when he is on the field, he would probably slide into the other outside corner, and you'd probably see ASJ or Callahan slide into that slot.
That's good, though, because like Michael Davis as your 4th corner, like your guy off the bench. And sometimes, depending what packages you're in, like if you're in like a dime package or something and you have an extra corner on the field, then yeah, you can bring him on. But like, that's pretty nice to have a 4th corner like that. For my 49ers last year, they did not have good cornerback depth, and then they had a couple injuries early on in the year, and then all of a sudden, like, you got to kind of panic because they're throwing out terrible corners. And that's the thing. I feel like, especially in the NFL nowadays, like, a lot of corners are going to get beat all the time, even if they're high end guys. But when you're not throwing out like a real starting caliber corner, like a borderline starter, and they're like a bad corner, the opposing offenses are just going to look that way and just absolutely rip apart that side. So having depth there is a big deal. So I like that you have Michael Davis as your 4th corner. It is interesting, though, that I know that Bryce Callahan's played mostly in the nickel, but I thought that he would move outside just because Asante Samuel Jr. is
Honest,
pretty
he's
small.
smaller. Yeah, he's smaller. He was able to hang last year with some of the guys that, like the Mike. I mean, I don't know if he hung with Mike Evans, but I know he hung with like the Chiefs receivers and everything like that. He definitely was a noticeable player when he was playing. He was very good last year. Just dealt with some concussions, so hopefully he's able to come out and be the outside corner that he looked like last year. Because you're right. He's small. There was another small guy that played for the Chargers, and Jason Verrett. He was pretty stocky, but he was small, and obviously we saw that when the dude was made of glass. But I think ASJ is going to be a little different. So, yeah, that's what the corner depth looks like. Then you got, I mean, the rest of the depth chart on defense looks good, man. I mean, I hope I don't have to see too much Jerry Tillery, but signed Austin Johnson also was kind of a sleeper in the Padres and the Chargers defense. Yeah, we talk a lot of Padres, but I mean, then you got linebackers Kenneth Murray Jr., who you're kind of expecting sort of a rebound from. He was, I think, horrific is kind of an understatement because he was really bad last year. So, I mean, really hoping that he's able to get to that 100 plus tackles that he had in his rookie year. I mean, I don't make a big deal out of tackles, but it's a lot more than his second year. But yeah,
Probably, and he'll get to like kind of like flash the sideline to sideline speed a little bit more, just like because they have a better D line. I feel like.
Yeah, and he flashed out a lot at Oklahoma, man. He was really good over there, and it was kind of shocking to see his fall off last year. But we're hoping for a rebound for him for sure, because he was somewhat of a fan favorite coming into last year. Drew Tranquill, solid, signed solid depth. Troy Reader, but it's looking like a really solid defense for this team. I mean, needed it after failing to make the playoffs last year, where you saw Justin Herbert put up almost an MVP caliber season.
Yeah, I mean, and I think like a lot of the stuff that you're bringing up too, like the depth and stuff, like that's where you kind of felt it with the Chargers, where like guys are getting gassed, they're not really able to rotate as well. I don't know. I think that's it. I think that when you're looking at a lot of defenses, like that's what you really need. And you have picked up Troy Reader, like that's a solid backup linebacker. That's like really good, because he was solid on the Rams for quite a few years. So I definitely like a lot of the moves that they have. A lot of depth with their depth chart here. And anytime you have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa, the big thing is still going to be health, but it is nice to know like if a couple of these guys are banged up for a few games, because that's inevitably going to happen in the NFL. Like you're going to miss a few games. As long as they avoid major injuries, like this is a defense that can help. It can be a big part of making a run. So I love the additions on the defensive side of the ball. I think it was a good offseason. And anytime you can snag a cornerback one in an open market for $16.5 million, and then trade a second rounder, dude. I didn't say when we were talking about Khalil Mack, but the fact that Khalil Mack was traded for a second rounder still blows my mind. And I get it's because of the money, right? It's because of this, but dude, he's still good. And people have decided that like he's like washed or something. I don't see it. He's been hurt, but washed, it seems kind of absurd to me. So
yeah,
I'm pumped for you guys, because
man.
Charger games last year, like defensively, they're kind of rough.
They were horrible defensively, and it made for a really good offensive showing. You would see some fireworks from Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, but you kind of expect fireworks from them. Josh Palmer is not getting talked about enough. Josh Palmer is going to be really solid for the Chargers this year. Maybe not like an 1,000 yards, 8+ touchdown guy, but he kind of flourished towards the back end of last season, and I think he's going to have a solid showing this year. But yeah, the Chargers offense, I expect them to have fireworks, but this defense is going to be very integral in getting the Chargers to the point that they want to be. Last year, that offense was a playoff offense. That's a very high-powered offense, but that defense is like a Giants, type defense. It's like really bad. It doesn't help